voice is very soothing, and his voice are very clear. And while I was doing my qiraat as well, I learned from him. I learned the way he was reciting. It was very clear. Each letter is very clearly pronounced. And another Qari is Qari Ghulam Mustafa Naimi, who's from Pakistan. And I like his tartil. Tartil is another science art of recitation where it's very high pitched. It's very, you read it slowly with all the root of the pronunciation comes from. And alhamdulillah, I really like him. Reason being because the words are very clear. For me, qiraat is not about how nice you sound, but it's about how correctly you're pronouncing the letters.
MashaAllah.
And these are my two favorites.
And can you imitate any of them too?
I can try. Alhamdulillah, I can imitate Qari min Shari al-Afasi.
Go on then. Yes, let's have a go.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس صدق الله العظيم.
Alhamdulillah, mashallah, that's beautiful. And I'm now going to take you over to some of the slides where we can show you some of the famous reciters of the Holy Quran. And the first one you actually mentioned is on your left-hand side, which is Qari. What's his name again, sorry?
Qari min Shari al-Afasi and Qari Abdul Basit, which is one of my favorites as well.
Yes, Qari Abdul Basit is also one of your favorites. And MashaAllah, then if you go on to the next one, you mentioned Qari Ghulam Mustafa Sahib Naimi, who is from Pakistan, and he is one of your favorites. MashaAllah. And then if you go on to the next slide, well, these are some of the great reciters of the Holy Quran from Egypt. There are so many, but these are the four which are, MashaAllah, they were the greatest Qurra ever that came from Egypt. The first on the top left-hand corner is Sheikh Mustafa Ismail alayhi rahmah. He was one of my very, very favorites. Then next to them is Sheikh Muhammad Rifat alayhi rahmah, again a great reciter of the Holy Quran. Then bottom left is Sheikh Mahmoud Khalil Hossen. He was not only a reciter but also a great scholar of Islam, a great personality. And last but by all means not least, Sheikh Muhammad Siddiq al-Minshawi alayhi rahmah, again great reciter of the Holy Quran. And here are some useful websites that you can also go on to, www.islamictube.com, islamictube.com. It's a very good tube where you can listen to recitations of the Holy Quran, and www.quranarchive.org, and on there you can see two great reciters of the Holy Quran, and they are on there because I've been fortunate to have met them. The one on the top is Sheikh Sayyid Mutawalli, who is from Egypt. Alhamdulillah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala preserve his life. And the one on the bottom is Sheikh Muhammad Mahmoud Taplavi, who I have also met, alhamdulillah, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also give them a long life. So these are great shuyukhs from Egypt, mashallah, who spend all their life reciting the Holy Quran to people. Now, Qari Sahab, those who are thinking of taking on qira'ah and tajweed, what advice would you like to give them?
For tajweed and qira'ah, my first advice that I will give them is make sure you're healthy. Make sure you're very healthy. just as it might be a funny advice, but it's very true.
Okay.
Make sure that you have enough sleep, so that you can do qiraat in the proper way, because qiraat is all about the voice, the pronunciation, and have to be very careful about the food that you're eating, even about the drinks that you're having, because you don't want to have a sore throat and trying to pronounce ayn, it won't come out. And again, I always focus on this, is the commitment. It's about the seriousness of what you want to do and why you want to do it. And the only reason that I think someone should have doing qiraat is to be able to recite the Quran the correct manner. And that should be the sole reason.
So are you careful then with what you eat? Are you fatty foods and drinks?
Yes, I am careful in terms of my voice, what I eat. Because I would not like to have a cold drink or something very cold when I know I have to be reciting the Quran, and I know that will affect my pronunciation. I'd rather sacrifice the soft drinks, the chickens and the burgers, if I know that I have to read the Quran and to be able to pronounce the letter in the correct manner. You have to be careful.
So on your day off, so whatever, you don't mind what you eat?
We're supposed to eat a balanced diet, right? But that's not the trend that we follow nowadays. But I'm careful in terms of food that I eat, if that will affect my throat or my vocal tone. This is very important.
I mean, I've noted with yourself and all the qurra, even in places where it's very, very hot. Now, when they recite, they have a scarf around their neck. What's the reason for that?
Reason, the throat is the most essential part when you're doing the qiraat, because the huruf qalqala, the huruf halqi, I should say, the letters of the throat, which are very important, and they're very hard, and that's the one which is the hardest to practice on. The ha, the ayn, the ghain, which comes from the throat. And you know, when it's cold, sometimes the throat shrinks. And you can't get the pronunciation right as it is. And putting a scarf around your neck, always keep it warm in a way. You will always see that there will be many qurra who drinks hot drinks. Cold drinks is very, very dangerous to drink, and that's the reason the scarf is always good.
Okay, well, you are watching Weekend with Noor TV, which is being brought to you live from the studios of Noor TV. We are talking to our guest, Qari Irfan Hussain Sahib, who is, mashallah, a very young 20-year-old who took up qira'ah and hifz at the age of 15. He comes from a very small island, Mauritius. He's now living in East Ham in London, Barking in East London. And mashallah, he is he has also got the ijaza to teach the hafs qira'ah, mashallah. So he is very talented now. In a short time we will be going into a break, and then we will be taking some calls. I'm sure that he has, mashallah, motivated some of you to take up this beautiful art of reciting the Holy Quran. And like he said, there's a beautiful hadith of Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam, which is narrated by Uthman ibn Affan radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. خَيْرُكُمْ مَنْ تَعَلَّمَ الْقُرْآنَ وَعَلَّمَ. The best among you is the one who learns the Quran and then he teaches the Quran. So that person is the best among you. And it is not everyone who can learn the Quran. It is not everyone who can teach the Quran. Those people who are gifted, those people who are chosen by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they then lead the way. And please do try and listen to some of those beautiful recitations of the Holy Quran, which can be found on Islamic Tube. And they are indeed very, very beautiful. Even if you do not know the meaning of those words, you still have the favor and the fragrance, and it just makes you feel so good that you are listening to the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by people who are well versed in this art of reciting the Holy Quran. And it is indeed a miracle, because it is the only book in the world that can be read in such a melodious tune. It is absolutely beautiful. And okay, how many hours do you practice a day?
My hours of practice is embedded in my teaching. Teaching. That's why I'm teaching students, and while I'm teaching, I'm also practicing as well. If you ask me about the hours of teaching, and that will be from 4 o'clock up till 9 o'clock at night, non-stop.
Alhamdulillah.
And
so much love and so much zeal and so much,
yes, alhamdulillah, it's very rewarding. It's very rewarding when teaching and practicing the Qur'an. It's very, very rewarding. Reason being, it's because you're practicing yourself. You're always in the company, I would say, in the company of the words of Allah. You're always reciting, and that's on your lips all the time.
Alhamdulillah.
And when you're teaching it to someone, you have to make the same effort as you're learning it.
Alhamdulillah.
So this is a way for me to always keep practicing, and that's from Monday to Sunday, the schedule stays the same.
Qari, inshallah, we will continue talking to you, but it's time to go into a short break. Don't go too far away. Keep watching Weekend with Noor TV.